Hey again, internet people. Today we got the new starter clutch with some needle bearings in. We're gonna get those replaced in here, and hopefully the starter won't just sit there and spin anymore. I've already gone ahead and drained the oil out. Can't forget that. There's oil up in here. Let's go ahead, pop this cover off. Alright, I have a feeling it's going to take a good couple whacks with the rubber mallet to get it nice and loose. There we go. I used this awesome Permatex gasket maker. I'll show you guys later. That does a real great job of sealing without sticking too much. You can use it with or without a paper gasket. In this case, I went ahead and I used it with the paper gasket just because I don't really trust these surfaces to be, you know, super smooth by any means. Come on, there we go. Awesome. So our starter clutch is right back here. You can see hey guys, sometimes you have those moments. It just makes you go, oh, this is one of those moments. I'm pretty sure this isn't supposed to be this loose. Oh boy. So let's see what's going on here. Interesting, there's a little chunk of metal in there, or something. Okay. Normally, that's supposed to take a little bit of force to come off. There's a couple dudes here, a couple holes here, and here. The tool that you're supposed to use clamps right on those and has a handle so you can hold that while you take the bolt out. And this is the needle bearings the new set came with. So the question is, why was that also loose, right? And we'll go ahead and we'll replace this whole thing while we're at it. Somehow it appears we are missing the plunger for this guy. That doesn't help us any. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is a lot of metal shavings, probably from just the shaft spinning. Oh yeah. And there were good times to be had by all. Only not. While we're here, I'm going to inspect this. I don't see any broken teeth, any weird wear, anything like that. So our idler gear is good to go. So this is not supposed to be loose like this all the time. It's only supposed to turn in one direction. And that is probably a fault of that one guy. not being correct. But let's go ahead, place our needle bearings. Ooh, yeah, that got a much tighter feel there. That's maybe that's why they sent me two, because that is not supposed to pop out like that. I don't think I want to use that guy. Let's see about this guy. That's much better. That does go back on there first. Okay. Alright, now we're going to have to try remove those three. Now I'm looking at this over and it kind of feels like I'm missing something. We'll see if I'm right or not, or if I just need to edit this part out later. We're going to start, see if we can get this guy off with the impact. Don't know how well this is going to work, but 0% well. Oh, we got one. Okay, I had a 33.3% success rate. That just means those two are not going to be fun to get off. The question is, how do I hold this in place so I can spin these, right? Without damaging anything, of course. Let's see how creative I can get. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That worked. Get our other one off using the same method. I kind of like this method. Works pretty good. There we go. Bada bing, bada bang. Sometimes you just gotta put a little bit of that redneck engineering into play. Okay. And off it comes. This doesn't look to be too bad. You can see where those, I don't know what those are, friction bearings, something like that, are sliding in and out and spinning. Doesn't look too terrible. Actually, I take that back. This one, it's hard to tell, but it looks like it's been pivoting in place. That might be causing it to stick when it's not supposed to and things. Little bits of magnet all over the place in here, but that's okay. I replaced these with these guys and the springs not too long ago, but with all these problems I've been having, I figured it just makes sense to replace the whole darn shebang. So that's what we're going to do here. See, looks about the same. It's just new parts. Line that plate up there. Line it up here. These guys back up on here. Oops. I'm not going to get those mixed up with the old ones. Alright, let's get those guys back in there. That is not luck. That is the opposite of luck. Come here, spring. These guys just slide right over the spring. And the spring slides up in there just like that. Then take, I've got it, there we go. Work that back in there. Wink, just like that. There we go. Okay. Now before I put this guy back on, I'm going to double check my book and see if I'm missing something. Because this is threaded, but nothing threads into there. That makes me feel like something's supposed to go in there that helps keep that tight. I could be completely wrong, but I want to check it anyway. Okay, looking at our parts diagram here, I don't see anything extra going in here, going into there. What I do see though is looking at the instructions, you'll see undo the crankshaft bolt, and there's that special tool I was telling you about that grabs on to that alternator rotor. Hold it in place while you undo it. But if we look here, it's discussing using the Kawasaki rotor puller tool, which threads into that. So those threads aren't actually to hold a part of the motor, they are to hold a tool to remove that. And then here they're talking about using that tool again in a vice grip to remove the starter clutch. Hey look, there's our mail truck. I bet you it's got what we got in there. Alright, I'm just in time. Please do not bend. This thing doesn't fit in the mailbox without bending it. I was thinking, what is the purpose of this rubber damper piece anyway? And this is just a theory, but I bet you the idea is when it goes on here, it creates a nice little sealed cavity for oil to go around these needle bearings first. And then, you know, once the pressure exceeds the squish limitation of this, then it goes everywhere else. That's just my working theory. Okay. Alright. We will put this on first. Make sure it spins nice and easily. Next, we put this guy on. And actually, you know what? That might be a little hard to do. Let's go ahead, just calf her out of here. We will put this into here first, and then put the whole assembly on. And you'll see it spins super easy in one direction, and grabs in the other. Super easy grabs. Let's go ahead and install the assembly back onto here. See? Super easy grabs. Super easy grabs. Exactly what it's supposed to do. So when the motor is spinning on its own, it just spins around, right? Doesn't turn the starter or anything. But when the starter turns, the starter will spin the motor. And gosh darn it, I forgot something. Pop this out. Needle bearings can go back up there. Forgot this guy. Goes back in there. Alright. see if we, there we go, got that. Alrighty, there we go. The mysterious disappearing sockets, everyone's nemesis. Actually, I didn't get a socket out for this because it just came off hand tight. That's right. Silly me. Okay. If I did get a socket, it would have to be a 17. I'll get this guy in there nice and tight. I might even try and torque it down. That would be like the right thing to do, you know? Something like that. Okay. Couple of things. I went through the manual again. Got the torque specs for this. It's 116 foot-pounds. This little dude is not going to do 116 foot-pounds, like guaranteed. So we're going to take it off. The other thing I totally didn't even think about was it says to use a high flash solvent on both surfaces on that taper. So let's take this out. We're going to clean it all off. That way we can get a nice good grip in there. Maybe we'll take it off. I totally remembered I had this tool, which is a alternator rotor pulling bolt thing. And it is a 19, I think. 19. Boom. See? Sometimes the right tool just makes things so much easier. Okay. Now that that is off, we are going to flash out the inside of this. Nice and clean. You don't want to flash anything else, just the inside of that taper. Same thing here. I don't need to flash off the... In fact, I'm just going to take those off. Flash off the needle bearings, just the taper. Get it nice and clean. This way there's no lubricants in between the friction mating surface. Which totally makes sense, right? This should be good. It doesn't take long for that to flash real fast. Okay. Oh, I got some inside my glove. That's not good. Okay. Let's get this back up on here. I'm going to pre-torque it with this. The instructions say to torque it, untorque it, and then torque it. So we're going to do that with this, and then we're going to do the final torque with the torque wrench. That might be a little trickier because I don't have that wonderful tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheese the gears with that, and that should allow me to get enough torque on there. Alright, got our 17 here, and our torque wrench. And never store these guys at a torque setting. You'll always want to loosen it all the way up. If you store it at a torque setting, it is going to cause that spring and all the internal parts to eventually shrink down a little bit and your torque settings will be off. So always store it loose. We need to bring it to 116. Okay, that should be 100. Be 120. Wait, no. Not 120. That's 110. 16 right there. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, click it, click. Should be good. Now, nothing moves when I spin this. And this moves in one direction only. So I think we are good here. Now what we've got left to do is clean up this mating surface and get our new gasket on and put the stator and stator cover back on. This is that Permatex gasket stuff I was telling you about earlier. It is the Forma gasket number 80017. This is a tacky gasket, meaning it does not cure to a rock solid. It does not cure to a rubbery likeness like RTV, but it actually stays. This has been out here for a while. It's hard to tell, but it's not rock solid. I can't like break it off, but it's also, see, look, it's tacky, which is great because that means it will stick to the surface. It will create that liquid seal, but it is pliable enough to remove with somewhat ease. It's got a little bit of a give to it, so if the surfaces, you know, separate or squish together a little bit more, it's gonna stay contact. So this stuff is absolutely fantastic, and we are going to try and get the lid off. Come on. See? It gasketed itself into place, but not so much that I couldn't get it off. It's good stuff. Let's open up our new gasket here. Smells like fresh mail. Okay. This guy came from Rick's. They make all sorts of stators and starters and all that good stuff. So let's just set that ready to go. I'm going to change my gloves out to some clean ones because we don't want any oil on any of these surfaces. The brush itself is quite wide, and that would not be good to try and brush on. So you can either use a smaller disposable paintbrush or your fingertip. Just gonna give this good little mix. Make sure everything's nice and good there. And this is good up to, I think, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Once you get above 400 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns back into a liquid, and it will drip off and on, off of whatever it's stuck to and onto whatever is below it. So keep that in mind. But I'm just going to come through here. I'm just going to apply a nice little film of this onto the entire surface. We don't need a lot at all. We need enough to create a little bit of a seal. You can apply this directly to the gasket on both sides and then stick the gasket on. It's your call. Doesn't really matter what order you do it in. I just think this might be a little bit easier. Okay. Take our new gasket and pop it up onto here, line it up with all of our holes. Just kind of push it down there. And for the most part, it'll stay in place. Okay. And we'll go ahead, get sealant all on this side too. Got a little bit much there. A little bit will go a long way. This bottle will last you quite a while. Like I said, with this stuff, you don't even need to use a gasket. You can just apply the sealant to both mating surfaces, let it tack up, stick them together, and it will be just fine. Gotta be careful though. Sometimes the engineers will design tolerances for a gasket, and so if you don't have a gasket in there, you may end up with parts that are too close together, out of tolerance, and you don't want that either. Okay, so this side, I'm gonna let it tack up for just a minute. And we'll come back and we'll put it on. Okay, let's go ahead, get our cover back on here. The magnet does a wonderful job of pulling you in there. Let's make sure our gasket looks good. Yup, yup, yup. Doop. Alright, let's get this stuff back on here. Nope, that's where a long one goes. And that's where that last long one goes. Cool. There we go. It's looking like it's probably time for me to repaint this at some point, but that's okay. It'll live. It's not perfect by any means. Alright, kind of come through, just clean up all that excess, and just use a little oily rag. Will do just fine. New starter clutch, new gasket, properly torqued stuff. We'll have to wait for that starter to get here next week, and hopefully we'll be good to go then. Alright, thanks guys. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and I'll keep these videos coming.